All right, let's just jump right into it. Welcome to today's explainer. We're going to be looking at a story that takes something incredibly innocent and just twists it into pure nightmare fuel. I mean, have you ever looked at a beloved childhood toy sitting quietly on your shelf and suddenly felt a totally random chill run down your spine? Well, today, we are breaking down a wild urban legend that's been absolutely tearing through the internet lately, the terrifying story of the golden Labubu doll. So, what happens when the absolute cutest toy in the world brings an ancient demon straight into your home? That's the dark premise we're unpacking today. We're going to map out exactly how this bizarre story unfolds, step by terrifying step. So, just imagine we're all sitting around a digital campfire, kind of piecing this whole thing together. Section 1. The Golden Labubu Doll. Okay, so our story kicks off with Melon. She was this really sweet girl who worked at a local toy shop, lived with her adorable dog, Bao. You know, after her dad tragically passed away, she actually left her small village and moved to the massive, bustling city of Shanghai, just trying to earn some money to support her mom and sister. But almost overnight, her life took a really dark turn. This sweet, happy girl suddenly became inexplicably aggressive. She got fired from her job and even started suffering from these intense, wild hallucinations. Like, how does someone just flip a switch and change that drastically overnight? Well, it all started with a very special delivery. So, a batch of limited edition Labubu dolls arrived at her store, and no surprise, they sold out instantly. But Melon, she'd actually set one aside for herself. And this wasn't just your standard issue doll. It was a completely unique golden shade, like a color unlike literally any other Labubu out there. It had these striking blue eyes, long ears, super soft golden fur, and this incredibly cute, really wide, toothy smile. She was totally enchanted by it. She hugged it tight, snapped a bunch of photos for social media, and happily brought it home to introduce to her dog, Bao. Section 2. The Nightmare Begins. Now, you know how animals can often sense things that we humans are just completely, totally oblivious to? Well, Bao, who normally wagged his tail and ran around super happy whenever Melon brought a new toy home, he had a very, very different reaction this time. And things escalated ridiculously fast. On night 1, Bao didn't just ignore the doll. He actually barked aggressively and growled at it. He completely refused to sleep in Melon's room, just staring at the doll before totally bolting. By the morning of day 2, as Melon was leaving for work, Bao literally grabbed her jeans in his teeth. He was desperately trying to pull her back toward the shelf to show her something was fundamentally wrong with this doll. But she just scolded him, locked him in the bathroom, and left for work. Then, that afternoon, Melon, who, remember, is known for being incredibly sweet, violently and inexplicably snaps at a customer. The rage was just so uncharacteristic that her boss literally fired her on the spot. And by night 2, well, that's when things slip into pure horror. So Melon comes back home crying, right? She's utterly confused by her own dark behavior. She opens her bathroom door to let Bao out, and suddenly, out of absolutely nowhere, this crazy auditory hallucination echoes through the room. A strange, incredibly creepy voice speaks to her, and it kept focusing on one specific number, 17. This is the exact, chillingly broken English she heard from that disembodied voice. It said, "This is a true story. 17 kids outside and they never came back. Are you lot people's story this story?" I mean, hearing that, Bao started barking frantically all over again. But seeing Melon crying so hard, the poor dog actually calmed down, and tears started welling up in his own eyes. Completely exhausted and terrified, Melon just decided to go to sleep early. Section 3. Bao's Tragic Fate. All right, so this is where the psychological dread shifts into something extremely dangerously physical. That night, Melon had a horrific nightmare. We're talking a giant, rotting, red-skinned monster with massive fangs and deadly claws trying to strangle her. She wakes up screaming only to find the golden Labubu doll sitting right on her chest. Bao actually rushed in and fiercely tore the doll to absolute shreds trying to protect her. Relieved, Melon just tossed the pieces in the trash and went back to sleep. But the next morning, she wakes up with a splitting headache and her skin is covered in painful red bites. She stumbles to the bathroom, looks in the mirror, and sees that same terrifying red demon from her nightmare standing right behind her, just laughing maniacally. She spins around, and nothing's there. But sitting right on the bathroom shelf was the Labubu doll, not torn to shreds in the trash, completely rebuilt, whole, and its cute little smile was twisted into this sinister, horrifying grin. Obviously, Medlin totally panics. She runs out, calling for Bao, but he's nowhere to be found. When she walks back into the house, she's greeted by this horrific scene. The doll had somehow moved. It was now sitting by the kitchen sink, and its little hands and teeth were covered in fresh blood. When Medlin looked under the sink, she found Bao's lifeless body, brutally mangled. So, the takeaway here is absolutely clear. The curse has manifested. The doll isn't just creeping her out anymore. It is actively, lethally violent.
Section 4. The Global Labubu Curse.
Desperate for answers after finding her beloved dog dead, Melon immediately turned to the internet, and she realized she wasn't alone. Her exact experience was being mirrored globally. People all around the world were reporting that their Labubu dolls were haunted. Owners were suddenly facing unexplainable, severe illnesses, just like Melon's red bites and headaches. They were getting hit with sudden, out-of-nowhere job losses. Get this, people were actually claiming their dolls were physically biting them. And most tragically, there were reports of the sudden death of loved ones or pets. Melon realized with absolute certainty that she was holding a truly cursed object. She took immediate action. She threw the doll into a fire, carefully swept every single ash into a glass jar, and hurled that jar as far as she could into a nearby river. She even called her sister that night, finally telling her she felt safe. But tragically, the very next morning, Melon was found dead in her apartment, and lying right next to her body was the golden Labubu doll, completely intact. And honestly, the most chilling part of all of this, a friend from the toy store actually took the doll home with her after Melon's funeral. Now, digging into the deep lore surrounding these global incidents brings up one specific, terrifying name, Pazuzu. According to ancient mythology, Pazuzu is a dark, incredibly evil demon, and the prominent internet theories suggest that this ancient entity is actually using these mass-produced Labubu dolls as physical vessels to enter homes and haunt the living. The panic surrounding this has been so real that in some countries, these dolls have been outright banned. Priests have literally been called in to perform exorcisms on them. Which kind of leaves us with this final, truly chilling question. Is the Labubu just a cute, innocent toy that got caught up in a crazy internet rumor mill? Or is it genuinely a vessel for a dangerous, ancient demon? Does evil sometimes come wrapped in a cute, toothy smile and golden fur? I guess that's for you to decide the next time you bring a strange new object into your home. Section 5, HorrorCon India 2024. Okay, everybody, take a deep breath. If you successfully made it through that terrifying story, you definitely deserve a reward. And the creators of that original story over at Kuni Monday, they have something massive planned for the community. So let's shift gears for a second. After throwing India's biggest horror festival last year, they are bringing it back, and it's going to be bigger than ever. You're going to want to mark your calendars for 2 full days of celebrating the horror genre on October 25th and 26th. The whole shebang is going down at NSIC Okla in Delhi. It is going to be packed with your favorite horror storytellers, intense horror games, meet and greets with iconic villains, and a massive Halloween party where everyone can just dance and celebrate the creepy stuff together. So look, if you love deep diving into these dark tales as much as we do, you absolutely need to be there. Go ahead and follow the HorrorCon India Instagram handle for all the latest updates. You can find their links really easily online. And of course, if you enjoyed taking this terrifying journey today, make sure to check out and subscribe to Huni Monday for even more incredible horror stories. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay safe out there, and hey, maybe keep a close eye on your toys tonight.